The Met Gala 2023, Karl Lagerfeld, A Line of Beauty. This is a video for people who really want to understand it. I see a lot of content out there about whose outfit tanked, and honestly, it's giving, I have no idea what I'm talking about. I just feel like the reputation that fashion is this superficial thing actually come from these fashion analysts who pass judgment with no basis of anything. In this video, I'm gonna give you 1, the fashion literacy you need to understand an academic analysis of fashion. 2, what the Met Gala really means. 3, the meaning of the theme and what celebrities represent. And 4, what the looks were saying. Let's jump right in. Fashion literacy, fashion and scenes. I think most people's understanding of fashion doesn't really go past what I think looks good or not. You see, fashion is about identity. It's the physical embodiment of how we want to present ourselves to the world. It's a language for who we are and our attitude at a given point in time. It is extremely personal. What gives fashion its meaning is context. What is the scene? The where, the why, the who. That's where meaning comes from. We communicate different messages depending on our relationship to the scene, our role, if you will. For example, wearing white on your own wedding day versus being a guest say very different messages. Regardless, if you have a consciousness over the way you dress or not, we are all participating in fashion because we all have an identity. We all have a relationship to the context. So now with this little bit of fashion literacy, let me contextualize what judgmental fashion means. When you say you hated what she wore, you're basically saying you hate her relationship with herself and her environment. Like, it's super personal. And it's okay to not resonate with certain looks or styles, whatever, but that's very different to dismissing somebody's experience. What the Met Gala means. The Met is not some random costume party for vain elitism. Because fashion is about identity and Vogue of all entities is the host, this event is a conscious question posed to society about a relevant aspect of our social climate in America. It involves a theme that reflects what we're negotiating in our current climate and celebrities that represent group identity experiences. If we really want to understand what the Met means at a higher level, we need to ask, what does the theme mean on a social level? What does a given celebrity represent? What does their presentation say about their identity and attitude of the question in hand? For example, what does Karl Lagerfeld, A Line of Beauty, mean today? What does Kim mean to our society? What is her outfit communicating? Now that you have that basis, I'm gonna give you my analysis of the 2023 Met Gala. What the theme means. I didn't see one person online like the Karl Lagerfeld theme. To me, that indicates a general misunderstanding of the theme and its relevance to our socio-political climate in America. We spent some time in the past couple of years rejecting our institutions. Now we're asking, were all of them bad? How do we feel? Will we carry some of the elements with us, or will we reject them? Karl is our institutions. Karl is somebody who has left a legacy in fashion. Karl comes with controversy. Are his faults more powerful than his contributions? Also, are we rethinking how we appreciate our institutions? Karl walked a black and white line. What I mean by that is, in many ways, he redefined classics. He was classic edginess, which really means his ideas started very avant-garde, aka they were new social ideas, new ideas of identity, but they were so culturally influential that it reshaped the existing notion of traditionalism. And with that framework, the Met looks come to life. What the looks are saying this year. In my opinion, the social question posed through the Karl Lagerfeld A Line of Beauty theme was, how are we negotiating our relationship with institutions after the past couple years of cultural rejection? Let's look into some of the categories of thought. Statements made in fashion. Category 1, the focus of the good. These are social figures who opted to wear items from the archives or recent collections. Notice how many of these embodiments came from people who have had a direct relationship with Karl or a house he's designed for. Overall, I think the focus of the good looks acknowledge the direct contributions of Karl as a designer. Relating it to our social question, let us remember the institutional contributions that got us to where we are today. Here are a couple more examples, both muses from Chanel. Category 2, the Karl embodiments. These are people who chose to directly embody Karl. The two main sentiments were either 1, a recognition of his fashion influence, or 2, a longing that misses him as a person because of their relationship. I think the Karl embodiment look highlights his dominance in fashion and for some humanizes him. To the social question, it says, these institutions are a part of us, we wouldn't be here without it. It's always interesting to watch the interviews. Cara emphasized her personal relationship with Karl. For Usher, you could tell there was an appreciation for Karl as a designer and what he meant for fashion. Category 3, the essence. These are figures who embodied pure motif extractions. They are celebrators of symbolic value. I think the Essence look appreciates the kind of mind it takes to create a symbol that changed the way we reference fashion. Socially, it says, these institutions produced concepts of value that cannot be rewritten. I think the use of Karl himself as a motif is a really unique way to pay homage to the fact that Karl does use his face as a motif in his brand, and the idea of an iconic self-image in which Karl created. Category 4, the recontextualizers. These are figures who identified with Karl, but under new conditions. They looked at Karl with camaraderie and respect, but will move forward with some distinct changes. On a social level, they comment, I will keep appreciating our institutions, but there will be change. ASAP's look is a reference to Karl in the early 2000s, when he was really into his whole diet period. This is where some of his controversy comes in. And I actually feel like his embodiment makes more sense when he's with Rihanna in context. Her pregnancy and being so adorned by him, she's the bride, she's his peak view of beauty. It's a really powerful recontextualization of how Karl viewed and appreciated bodies. Category 5, merged ideas. These are figures who combined their personality with Karl. Many came from designers, and there was a range of Karl to designer ratio as well as public figure to designer to Karl ratio, which I think speaks on how they resonate with him. Similarly to the recontextualizers, it looks at Karl with camaraderie, but recognizes their own differences. From a social level, again, it says, I will keep appreciating our institutions, but there will be change in my version. I actually think most of the looks fall within this range. It's always interesting to see what parts designers resonate with and how much. I like these two examples because you can see Stella in a very clear fusion, and Paris very balanced with herself, Mark, and Karl. Category 6, I'm not sure. These are figures who went halfway camp. What I mean by that is that they had a real genuine moment of appreciation for Karl with a fashion reference, but there's irony in how they also embody his cat. This man has done so much in design, and if you want to highlight his cat, there's a camp aspect to that. So for Karl, it's a recognition for what he's done in design, but also somewhat of an internal conflict in which humor is used. On a social level, it's recognizing the impact of institutions, but also feeling like there's a need to continue dismantling, discussing what it's all about. Both of these examples went about it in different ways. I think Doja is a little closer to the spectrum of appreciation of Karl than where Jared was. Like, he actually beheaded the cat on the carpet. Either way, you can see the humor and see also the moments of undeniable appreciation. Category 7, absolute rejection. These are figures who went complete camp. They used irony to make opposing statements. It's a rejection of Karl and his designs and mentality. From a social level, it's a rejection of institutions. I want to talk about Lil Nas X wearing Pat McGrath. I understand that there are pearls and crystals used. Arguably, this could be a spectrum within the motif category. The reason I think it leans much farther in the absolute rejection is because he is not just a cat, but a rather demonic looking cat. He is wearing makeup as his look to a fashion event. It's very ironic, and it says a lot about how he relates with Karl. With this framework of viewing fashion, you can see how we can appreciate everyone's looks and statements. We can use it as a way to listen to what the conversation is around Karl, and also society at large. I hope you guys like this video. I know it's really different to all other Met content I really see, and even fashion analysis. My goal in fashion is to help build tolerance for different kinds of people, a way to understand ourselves and others in a deeper way. And it really saddens me how people use it for the exact opposite. It seems to be that's how the current fashion climate operates, and maybe has been operating, but maybe it can change. Thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.